Hey there guys, it's Premise Reviews here and welcome back to my channel. Now for this video, I wanted to make this my top most wanted Studio Series figures to be reissued now. Now, as we know, over the past 5 years, Studio Series has been releasing a lot of really good Studio Series figures, but then there's been some that sold out so quick that not everybody was able to get them. And I think, you know what, I think it's time to list some that they need to reissue. And note that these will not be in particular order, they're just going to be some names that I just throw out, so they're not going to be ranked. So here we go. But before we do that, please make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to turn on post notifications so that way you guys don't miss a single upload. I really hope you guys do enjoy this video. So without further ado, let's get started. Starting off with our first figure here, we do have the Studio Series Transformers 2007 movie Autobot Ironhide. Now I know completely right away that everybody's going to agree with me on this, that this figure needs to be reissued right now. If you guys do remember, or you guys should remember, that when this figure was announced, everybody wanted him. He looked the best. He is still honestly the best Ironhide we've ever gotten, well, in my opinion. But it's just the fact that when this guy finally released, he was nowhere to be found. And what I mean by nowhere is that he was never found in stores. Rare occasions will you be able to find this figure. Other than that, he was the hardest Studio Series figure to find to this day. This figure kept selling out. This figure just was in stores, but he was just gone in a blink of an eye. It would be one of those days where you least expect it, where he shows up but you don't have the resources to get him, or when you feel like you will find him that day, he is not there, and when you ask in the back, he's nowhere to be found. It's like he's just gone. But again, we completely understand. This figure is, again, one of the most rarest figures to ever find, but that's just how good he was. This figure is amazing to this day, the best Ironhide we've ever gotten. But it's just the fact that they need to reissue this guy right now, because there's been a lot of us who haven't been able to get this Ironhide, and we had to pay for the 15th anniversary 5-pack, the Ratchet, Ironhide, Jazz, Optimus Prime, and Bumblebee, just to get that one figure that you've been wanting. And plus, people like the character Ironhide, and this is the only Michael Bay version Ironhide for Studio Series that we have. And yeah, and there's, you know, a lot of new people that, you know, are new to the Studio Series line, and maybe they want to get this Ironhide, but they can't because he's going for outrageous prices online, and you gotta buy the 15th anniversary pack in order for you to get them. So you know what? It is what it is. But again, this is the best Ironhide we have ever gotten, and honestly, I was so lucky to find him. Now for our next figure here, we do have the Studio Series Age of Extinction number 7 Autobot Grimlock. Now the only reason I'm saying Autobot Grimlock is because Studio Series needs to make these freaking Dinobots. Now the only reason why I'm saying Autobot Grimlock is because when Studio Series finally, well, whenever they can or whenever they want, I know they're making them after the 86, you know, the Dinobots are done, but at the same time they started with Age of Extinction Dinobots, so I don't know why they even started with. But to get back on track, whenever they are, you know, finally making these Age of Extinction Dinobots for Slug, Strafe, Scorn, maybe Slash, he didn't appear in the movie but he was in concept arts. But whenever they're finally done making these figures, reissue Grimlock, because maybe there's been, you know, new Studio Series fans or people who are finally buying Studio Series figures that don't have that Grimlock. And again, he's going for outrageous prices online as well. But again, maybe reissue this guy, because again, people want to complete the Dinobot set. Maybe just add a little bit more paint. Maybe try and make, you know, it kind of more better. I don't know how to make it any better. Maybe, you know, fix the Dinobot up a bit. But other than that, I do feel like that this figure needs to be reissued, and for the better. Coming here at our next figure here, we do have the Transformers Dark of the Moon Studio Series Shockwave. Now, this again is on par with Ironhide at being one of the rarest Studio Series figures to ever be released by Studio Series. This figure is the pinnacle of perfection. This figure is still to this day, in my opinion, one of the best Studio Series figures that they've ever made. When they reviewed this Shockwave, you know, people said he looked too purple, people said he looked too light colorish in the promotional arts for him, but that was just, you know, the CGI render for him. You know, it wasn't the official look for him, you know, the paint color scheme and stuff. But when this figure was shown, this actual figure was shown to us, for the first time, we were sold. We were sold right away. Almost, no. Everybody wanted this figure because how much of an upgrade this Shockwave was compared to the last time we ever got a Shockwave. And the fact that he looked that screen accurate, the fact that that Shockwave looked as good as he did, and he's somehow a retool of the Revenge of the Fallen Megatron that was also released by Studio Series, was a shocker to all of us. All they need to do is just reissue that figure, because one day, I'm calling it now, one day they will make either a Titan class or a very, very large leader class of Driller. Once they make this Driller, reissue this Shockwave right away. So that way, in case people did miss this Shockwave or they just don't have this Shockwave, so that way they'll be able to get this guy. That way they can complete the set. Again, this Shockwave looked amazing. Just how screen accurate he looked. He honestly looks almost to perfection. That's how good this guy is. But again, even though he did die easily in the movie, I still think that this Shockwave is the best, to this day, the best Shockwave we have ever gotten. Here we do have, believe me or not, the Studio Series 2007 Decepticon Starscream. Now, I don't know what it was, but I had so much trouble trying to find this figure in person. It took me almost a year and a half after this guy was released to find him. And now, it was such a shocker for me to find him, because I don't know how, I don't know what, but they had him in Walmart just alone there, and I asked if he was still selling, if his barcode was even good, and they said yes. So the moment that they said yes, I picked this up and I just got him. But the fact that it took me almost a year and a half to get this guy is unbelievable. But again, they need to reissue this guy, because I have seen a lot of people having trouble getting this guy online, because again, he's going for outrageous prices online and stuff. And it just in person, I don't know what it was, but he was just rare. Probably because this Starscream did look amazing. People were saying that this one looked better than the Masterpiece Starscream and stuff. And even though that's kind of stretching it, I still think that when this guy did release, he was better than the Masterpiece Starscream. But again, it's just the fact that he was so hard to find for me that I have to put this guy in there, because again, I know some people that still don't have this guy and that they really, really want him. Again, Studio Series, if you want to make a 5-pack of the original 5 Decepticons, I'm down. But then you have the same issue if you already have the figure, but you only want that one figure, but you're not going to pay over $100 to $200 for it, then I completely understand. But again, back to the figure, this figure did look amazing. The details on this figure was honestly surprising for a Voyager class, and the fact that he looked this good gave us so much hope for Studio Series, because man, this figure was amazing. It's just the fact that Studio Series made this Starscream as screen accurate as they made him, again, shocked us all. But again, I do think that they need to reissue this guy. Maybe give him a little bit more paint here and there. But other than that, don't change too much, because this figure looked amazing. And honestly, still is. Now, believe me or not, this one might be controversial. But here we do have the Decepticons for Devastator. Now, again, this one may be controversial. But again, I think that they should reissue almost all these Decepticons to create Devastator. If you are an OG to Studio Series, you do know that Studio Series did announce that they were going to make a Devastator, a combiner, for the first time. This is the first time actually trying it, and even though, you know, it's still iffy to this day, this was nowhere near how it looked in prototype form, nowhere near how it looked. People still wanted to get this because, again, it is the only Devastator figure that honestly looked alright. The fact that Studio Series was able to make a combiner Decepticons, like out of leader class, Voyager class, deluxe classes, I'm sorry, to create Devastator was honestly a mind-blowing thing that they announced. Now, newer Studio Series figure collectors want to collect this Devastator, but they don't want to pay that much for a Devastator, because honestly, even to me, that is honestly outrageous. And again, most of these figures alone, just by themselves, are selling for, again, outrageous prices online, because that's about more than half of what we actually spent for these figures. And maybe they want to start, you know, their own collection of actually making Devastator, but people are having a hard time collecting these guys because of how much they are. Now, I get it, you know, you guys should have, you know, collected it before, all this and yada yada yada, but again, maybe they didn't even know of the Studio Series line, and honestly, I completely understand. But again, I think to me, they should just reissue this Devastator, but like in little pieces and stuff, and I think that that would be a great thing. Maybe just add a little bit more paint jobs to maybe some of them here and there, but honestly, that's it. Cause again, who wants to spend over $500 to $600 for a Devastator figure? Well, I know a lot of people, but I mean, come on. That's already as much as if you just, you know what, just spend your money on the premium scale The Last Knight Megatron 3.0. Just go for that one instead. Honestly, way better than the Devastator. But again, people want to collect the Devastator instead, and they don't want to spend that much for that Devastator. But again, this is the only Studio Series figure of Devastator that we ever got. But now, since, you know, we're getting the Combiner Decepticons, we're gonna get Bruticus. Sooner or later, we're gonna get Infernicus. Like, these figures will be costing a lot, but again, the outcome will be worth it. It's just the fact that, you know, a lot of newer Studio Series figure collectors want to collect Devastator, but they can't. Is it the best Devastator? No. Is it the perfect Devastator? No. I think the Devil Savior is a lot better, but again, who wants to pay over $200 for just single figures when you can pay over $50 to $60 just to get an honestly really good Devastator? Also, if you are going to buy this Devastator, also get the DNA upgrade kit because it makes this guy 100 times better. But alrighty guys, I think that's going to do it for me. If you guys are new to the channel, please be sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to turn on post notifications so that way you guys don't miss a single upload. I really hope you guys did enjoy this video, and let me know down in the comments below what figures do you want to see reissued by Studio Series. Other than that, it's been Primus Reviews, and remember that Rise of the Beast is coming out on June 9th, so remember to get your tickets. Remember to stay calm and keep moving on, so I'll make sure to see you guys on the next one.